Hello everyone, what is up? It's me, Ewan from What Culture Comics, joined again for the second time today by Zoe.
It's a Christmas
because
miracle.
we thought we'd devote an entire episode to Doomsday Clock earlier on, and given that we've had two big Batman conclusions this Wednesday as well, we thought I'd do a big blowout on Batman Last Night on Earth, and also Batman 85, which marks Tom King's exit from the main Batman comic. Obviously, he has Batman and Catwoman coming out in January, but as Zoe is the resident Bat aficionado of WhatCulture.com, I thought I'd bring her in and get her to explain all the juiciest bits of info from these comics, and also her thoughts on this, because I did enjoy Tom King's Batman, but I kind of, as everyone will know, I like trade waiting for a lot of things, so I'm kind of waiting to read that all in one big chunk at the end. But yeah, let's start off with Last Night on Earth, because that's a big one.
Yeah, I do very much. I'm very glad in one sense that I get to tell you all this fun Bat news, but I also feel very bad because there are a lot of spoilers. If you don't want to be spoiled, please read the thing before you look at our faces, because I don't want to do that.
The door.
Please, I beg.
The door is,
But Last Night on Earth had one of the most interesting, what I would describe as plot twists, in that in it thus far we'd seen sort of the Joker and Batman become this weird crime-fighting duo in a sense. He carried
Dynamic or undynamic?
an interesting dynamic, if nothing else. Batman carrying Joker's little head around, and then in 3, we sort of saw the payoff for that when Joker's little head got attached to a robot body. The robot body that had a big R on it, making him Robin.
I was going to stop you for a second there, because the way you've described this is like that bit in The Simpsons where Burns and Smithers are like in the future and Smithers is a dog robot. Is it the kind of same relationship here? I'm going to say yes.
It's an interesting one because it is sort of covered over for the entire thing that this is mostly the Joker's fault.
All right.
But yeah, he gets to be sort of like a heroic sidekick.
Yeah.
They have a fun dynamic, but Batman from this point just seems to be like, there's my buddy, the Joker. It's like, I don't know, you should be doing that, Bruce.
Yeah, because this is obviously an Elseworld story, but it is also Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's it's their last ever Batman comic, and obviously anyone who I think you're one of the people who kind of really came into comics through that kind of era when they were doing stuff like the Court of Owls and Death of the Family and stuff. It's a big deal. It's an end of an era of Bat storytelling. So do you feel as though they've handled the exit wonderfully?
I have a real soft spot in my heart for Last Night on Earth, but that's because I think it's something that no other Batman story has really brought to us. And at the same time, it manages to beautifully balance sort of, there's all these dark moments, the final confrontation between Omega Batman, who is another evil Batman, but it works.
Right.
And Batman is beautifully done, but it also
the Batman
has...
who cries.
As much as I treasure this comic, I was like, oh, there he is, another evil Batman. We're doing well, aren't we? I think it's tonally balanced very well. It has a lot of huge surprises, like the Joker-Robin thing, but it also ends on a surprisingly sweet note, given that this is part of the dark multiverse, and usually those stories end with like, everything's bad, wow.
Yeah, so like how does the whole thing actually conclude then?
Well, it's surprising because it ends with, and you may recognize this story from even news we did earlier today. A rocket ship comes down from space, and Batman and Wonder Woman and Joker Robin go to see what's there, and it's a baby Superman. It's unclear whether it's supposed to be like a sort of altered timeline thing or what exactly, but I almost want to see more of it.
That's interesting. I wonder if they've left the torch there for someone to do a follow-up with Superman in the future. I mean, maybe if they ever want to come back to that universe, they totally have the door open now, I guess. I'm curious to see whether it is I don't know. I've barely touched this, so I don't even know what Earth it's on, whether it's related to the Dark Multiverse, maybe there is like a sort of Earth designation there to go with. But you would hope that this is a great kind of exit point for Snyder and Capullo after what they've contributed to Batman over the past decade. It's
got
amazing.
A special spot of my heart.
Yeah, I'm really glad you like it.
Batman 85.
This is another big one, because obviously Tom King, he's been working on Batman since 2016, I want to say, when DC Rebirth came around. And I've personally from what I've read, I read the first 3 volumes. I really like Tom King's Batman. I'm really, sad that he's been left off the main title, even though he is going to get to do his own Batman Catwoman stuff. So with that in mind, Zoe, with the fact that he has got another series in the pipeline about the Bat and Cat with Clay Mann, is this a conclusion for the ages, or is it a little bit of a mixed bag? I'll stand sexily with the comic here.
I have a lot of mixed feelings on Tom King because the thing is, I started reading his run on Batman when I was, in many ways, a child, and now I am a woman, and he is leaving.
How old were you when you started?
Let's not even do that.
Okay, let's not.
But I have a lot of love for it. I do think A lot of his work has been absolutely integral to making Batman what it is right now. He does focus a lot on the dynamic between Batman and Catwoman, but obviously since he's going into writing that series, like of course he did. But the one thing I think a lot of people will be pleased to hear about it is it's a conclusion that feels like it gets closure, which is quite rare at this point in Batman. I feel like it's always like, ooh, but will there be another thing? I'm almost proud of it in a sense, because it links back into all these themes of sort of Batman overcoming like his fears in his past. It actually feels like Batman gets character progression. I know you make that expression for a lot of good reasons. It felt very much in a lot of ways like Tom King wasn't just ending it, he was ending it in a way that passes on the torch to James Tynion?
James Tynion the Fourth, yes, who starts his series. It is this month, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and I'm very excited because it actually ends with a little sneaky dose of what's to come.
Just after ignoring the Joker 2019 advert.
Wow.
And also the really nice Suicide Squad redesigns.
I'm very excited about that.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, all right, okay, that's pretty interesting.
Yes.
You can, Dan, I'll leave it in your hands whether or not you show that to the children at home. But yeah, I'm really excited to actually go down and sit down and just absorb all this Batman. I feel as though the reason why I stayed away from Batman for the past kind of 2 to 3 years has mainly been down to the fact that Batman was my entry point into comics, and I've read so much Batman, and I'm trying to explore different things. All the way, like, meanwhile, Batman's there posing seductively on my bed going, you want to read me, don't you? And I'm just there like, well, yeah, but I want to read all these fellas as well. And they're like, do you want to read me? And I'm like, okay. And then I'll dive back in, and I'll end up binging it and feel very guilty afterwards. But yeah, I'm glad that you really enjoyed it, because I think, for the past few months, you've been kind of I've
been on an iron.
Yeah, because it's one of those things where, writers, they write for the trade now these days, and that's when they kind of they write in story arcs that are meant to be collected in big volumes. And are you going to go back and read this all in one solid thing, or are you going to just let it kind of stew for a little bit?
I would recommend, for anyone who has been keeping up, that's probably the best way to consume it, because the only thing I did find aggravating is there were a lot of issues that were very much like, and here's sort of our filler episode for the day. Well, that's really aggravating when you're like, so this is my week.
Yes.
This is the news for the week. It should be quite entertaining to be like, oh, here's a weird beach volume. This is fun.
That mustache was great, though.
The mustache was very good, but it was a whole week's worth of Batman was the only thing. So yeah, in short, very good. Would recommend picking it up and sort of binge through it.
Yes.
Netflix it when you can.
In terms of Bane's position overall, I mean, I think you said earlier on that you made up your mind when we were covering Batman a few months ago that this series had really cemented Bane as what you would consider to be the greatest Batman villain. Do you still feel as though that is the case, having finished all this now?
He is still one of the greatest Batman villains. The thing is, the conclusion maybe has like 3 pages dedicated to Bane, but it has a lot with Batman's dad. They have a series of particularly interesting sort of conversations that I think might bring a little tear to the eye of anyone who has a little soft spot in their heart for the whole tragic death thing. So I think, although it's called City of Bane, it's not really about Bane in the end. That is the only weird thing.
My other question as well is, in terms of all the Batman, not to ruin a potential future list for anyone here, but in terms of all the Batman runs that you've read, where do you feel as though this kind of sits alongside your favourite kind of things? Because I feel as though you've definitely loved it, even though it has had a few kind of drawbacks every now and then.
We've had moments, me in this series, we've had moments where I've said, I'm going out, I'm going to take a walk. You stay here. I'll just think about the things we've said.
The wheels are spinning. You're around the corner. Slam the door. They're at home playing Do You Believe in Life After Love? Continue.
Yeah, but they put the boombox on their shoulders, and I always come back, and I always enjoy it. It's very high up. I would say it's top 10.
Top 10?
Top 10,
cool.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, again, it's one of those things I really want to jump into, because I feel as though I've been missing out not reading it, but at the same time I'm trying to just broaden my horizons. Not so that Batman is restrictive. I'm just saying that, in terms of everything that I read, I have a big, broad range of tastes. And even though I do love the Batman, I do want to kind of dabble in. I don't know if I'm going to pick up James Tynion's series, and that's mainly down to the fact that even though I really like Tynion's work, and I'm really excited to see what he does with Batman for his his run, I'm still curious to see what the big plans they have going forward, because I think there've been rumors for a while that Bruce Wayne's going to exit the series and we'll get a new major status quo shift, which I'm very interested to are you going to jump straight into Tynion?
James is one of my favorite writers, not even just in comics, just in general. So I may as well just hook it to my veins for the next year. That's that's where I'm at in
On a drip.
2020. Just, that's me.
Until someone comes along and just starts squeezing it, and you're just there like,
Please. So much Batman.
yeah, please let us know what you thought of both of these backtastic conclusions down in the comments below. Are you really as upset as we are about Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo finally capping off their long running run on Batman? Also, Tom King and Mikel Jennings' Batman run as well, because that has got a lot of fans, and it's sad to see him go off the main title. But yeah, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and head back on over to whatculture.com/comics. More news, lists, and articles like this every single day, except not over the Christmas period because we'll be away. But anyway, that's me. I'm Ewan, and I'm off now. I'm going, and then I'm coming back next year. So you can follow me on Twitter at
Christmas
@YouRuinsThings,
times.
and you can follow Zoe on Twitter at,
Zemeskel.
and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.